After her father's funeral, this little girl's future took an amazing turn when a millionaire DI. Lily sat alone on the park bench, the autumn wind tearing at her thoughts. Freshly buried beneath the weight of her father's casket was the solace she hadn't anticipated, a future crumbling like dry leaves beneath her feet. The bustling sounds of her Midwestern town felt abrasive rather than comforting. "Why did you leave me, Dad?" echoed in her mind as she watched the leaves pirouette to the ground. Just days ago, he was her rock, a mechanic who could fix everything, a master of engines and patience. Now, without him, her world felt hollow. Tears pooled in her eyes as memories of laughter and tinkering in the garage flickered like an old film. Grief twisted inside her, battling with a growing dread. The bills piled up, signs of a life abruptly sidetracked. What would happen to their modest home? Would they lose it all? The thought sent a shiver through her, a terrifying reality she had never dared to face before. With every breath, she battled the pull to cling to his memory and the need to step into a nightmare that could consume her. "Excuse me, young lady," a deep voice broke through her haze. She looked up to find Mr. Thompson, the reclusive millionaire known for his investments in the community, yet as distant as the clouds above. Noticing her tear-streaked cheeks, he offered a handkerchief. "I've seen you around. You remind me of someone." His voice trailed off, and for a split second, it felt like he could see the turmoil raging in her heart. "Thank you," she managed, folding the fabric in her hands but unable to wipe away the sadness that rooted in her chest. In that moment, he'd filled the space with understanding, yet its weight only heightened her conflict. Did she want to accept help from someone like him? An unfamiliar ache tugged at her. Wasn't accepting charity against everything her father had taught her? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The moment hung heavy between them, like a surreal frame caught in time, a blend of the man before her and thoughts of her father. Mr. Thompson extended an unexpected offer, promising mentorship in engineering, a pathway igniting something deep within her that she'd buried under layers of sorrow. "You remind me of someone who could build something great," he encouraged, eyes glinting with a spirit she seemed to recognize. But could she leave her father's memory behind? Each invitation to dream whispered promises of success, but trembled with the fear that ambition could mean leaving the past, a past that anchored her so firmly in love. The weight of his offer rumbled through her mind, pulling her in many directions. The thought of pursuing something bigger than her current reality thrilled and terrified her in equal measure. Just as she began to imagine herself creating, a rush of self-doubt crashed over her like a dark wave. Could she really take his path? Was she abandoning everything that had defined her? In a moment of panic, Lily found herself standing anew, gazing at the empty bench as if it could answer the questions swirling inside her. She stumbled backward, nearly losing her footing as fresh leaf piles crunched underfoot. Yet, something flickered. An ember deep within the ashes of her grief urged her forward, demanding a decision. What lay ahead of her was obscured in fog, a crossroads where home and ambition collided, leaving her with only one certainty. She had to choose. But as she looked into the future, the fog thickened, and uncertainty loomed like a shadow, waiting to envelop her. Lily's heart raced as she stared at Mr. Thompson, each word resonating like a challenge. Mentorship? The possibility hummed tantalizingly in her ears, but embedded in that word was reluctance. She ached for her father's approval, his gentle guidance in every wrench, turn, and bolt tightened. The idea that she could build, innovate, and create seemed far and distant, much like the sun behind a thick cloud. "I'm just a girl who loved fixing cars with her dad," she heard herself say, her voice quaking despite her discomfort. "What do I know about engineering?" The truth slipped out like a confession. Deep inside, she was terrified she might not have inherited his talent, that his legacy could simply dissipate like smoke in the air. How could she venture into an overwhelming world of technology and mechanics when her sole experience had come under her father's attentive eye? Mr. Thompson softened before her, and his eyes, though hardened by life, sparkled with hopeful determination. "Everyone starts somewhere, Lily. Great engineers are often born from curiosity and a willingness to learn." His voice stirred something in her. A small flicker of courage ignited. "Are you sure?" "Why not? Let me guide you. You could transform that passion into promise." His words wrapped around her, a lifeline tossed out into the chaos of emotions that engulfed her. "You remind me of someone passionate, someone who believed in possibilities. You just need to believe in yourself." For a moment, doubt mingled with desire, and she wrestled within. Lily wanted to breathe life into structures and machines, but the fear of loss anchored her firmly. What would happen if she ventured forth, only to realize she couldn't carry the weight of her father's legacy? The thoughts spun in her mind like gears grating against each other. The park around them faded into an uncertain blur. As if sensing her hesitation, Mr. Thompson's demeanor shifted subtly. "You're standing at a turning point. Will you remain bound by fear? Or will you step into the unknown and challenge yourself? Your background in working with your father gives you a unique edge." His conviction struck her like a chord, vibrating with urgency. Could there be strength in her vulnerability? The thought stirred a realm of untapped determination within her. Fragments of conversations with her father flitted through her mind. His encouragement reverberated with the clarity of daylight breaking through morning fog. "You can fix anything if you want it badly enough," he'd often say, his hands covered in grime yet filled with warmth and wisdom. Perhaps he had been preparing her for moments like these, even if he never realized it. "Okay," she said, the words slipping from her like a gasp. "I'll try." The resolve coalescing within her surprised even herself. "Great," Mr. Thompson beamed, and his enthusiasm laced with genuine hope felt tangible, as if reinforcing her shaky commitment. "Let's set up a time for you to come by my workshop. Together we can start building something remarkable." The thrum of determination began to overpower her trepidation. Each step toward the workshop was a step away from grief, a step toward her own future, her own identity shaped by what she would discover. For the first time, her heart raced with possibility and intrigue over the burdens of loss. The promise of building something greater washed over her like a wave, leaving her both invigorated and terrified. As she turned to leave the park, her heart still drumming in her chest, an echo of her father's laughter seemed to reverberate around her, compelling her forward. This could be the start of something monumental, she thought, embracing the unknown. But as the sun dipped beneath the horizon, Lily felt another pang of doubt creep back in. What expectations would come with this new path? Would she be capable enough to preserve her father's memory without losing herself? With the shadows lengthening around her, she knew one thing. She stood on the brink of transformation. The moment of self-definition had come, yet the real test loomed ahead. Would she navigate the complexities of her own ambition, or succumb to the weight of her grief? The following day passed with a blend of anticipation and unease. Lily awoke to the sound of birds signaling the beginning of a new chapter, yet the weight of the unknown settled heavily on her shoulders. She'd promised herself to give Mr. Thompson's mentorship a chance. But as she dressed for the workshop, her reflection revealed uncertainty, an ambiguous blend of hope and trepidation in her own eyes. Arriving at the workshop, she felt like an intruder stepping into a sacred space. The aroma of oil mingled with the sharp tang of metal, the backdrop of tools meticulously arranged, each holding a promise of transformation. Mr. Thompson appeared with an exuberance that belied his age, welcoming her with a warm smile that somehow quelled her fears. "Let's get started, shall we?" he said, gesturing toward a rusted vehicle in the corner. A project that had obviously seen better days. The sight of it jolted her nerves. Could she really tackle something so monumental? Lily hesitated, her gaze fixated on the vehicle like it was a beast poised to swallow her whole. "What if I mess it up?" she muttered, fear painting her voice. "Messing up is part of the learning curve," Mr. Thompson replied, his tone unwavering. "The question is not if you will stumble, but how you will rise after. Let's begin with what you know best. Start with the basics. What do you see?" "A lot of rust," she replied, her mouth twisting downwards. He chuckled. "There's always more than meets the eye. Think about what lies beneath the surface." His words sparked something within her. She knelt beside the car, running her fingers along the cold metal, tracing the layers of neglect. The vehicle felt like her, covered in remnants of loss, but still holding potential. "Let's strip it down to the essentials. Identify each piece and its function. This can be our first lesson," he instructed. As they began disassembling parts, Lily felt a swell of purpose rising within her, a rhythm taking hold. Each bolt turned and nut unscrewed released a latent energy she had never known. An hour in, she found herself explaining the components, surprising even herself with the knowledge she had absorbed from countless hours with her father. "See? You're already thinking like an engineer," Mr. Thompson encouraged, pride seeping into his voice. With each passing moment, her confidence flourished, illuminating the confidence that had been buried under layers of grief. The work was hard. Her hands grew sore, but every ache felt like a step forward, an investment in herself. "Tell me about this piece," Mr. Thompson prompted, pointing to the alternator. Lily paused, and for a brief instant, she touched her heart, remembering her dad's warm encouragement. It powers the electrical systems in the car. If it's not functioning, nothing else will." "Exactly," he beamed, as if she had just solved a complex equation. "What else can we draw from that?" Her brow furrowed in concentration. "If I stop working on myself, everything falls apart too." The realization hit her like a shockwave. Her father's absence might fracture her sense of self, but the building blocks remained within reach if she embraced this path. Hours melted away. When they took a break, she leaned against the cool metal, breathless but relieved. "I'm actually doing this," she whispered to herself, and the conviction felt like a promise, a vow to not only honor her father, but also to forge her identity anew. Yet, beneath her burgeoning confidence, shadows of doubt lingered. As Mr. Thompson shared insights about the industry and the innovation fueling it, her mind wandered back to her father's garage, a sanctuary filled with laughter and the sound of tools. Would she be able to recreate that magic in her own way, or was she simply trying to preserve a memory? A heaviness gripped her stomach. As the light outside waned and the workshop filled with shadows, she realized this journey was just beginning. The deeper she delved into engineering, the more terrifyingly intricate the journey unveiled itself to be. "Lily," Mr. Thompson's voice broke her reverie. "Tomorrow I'll introduce you to some of my contacts in engineering. We have a project that could really use your passion." The prospect sent a thrill through her, but nerves gripped her heart yet again. Would she measure up? "I'll think about it," she replied, trying to mask the tremor in her voice. As she walked home, the weight of expectation crashed against the buoyancy of her newfound ambition. This was no longer just about building cars. It was about building a life intertwined with her father's legacy while carving out her own space in the world. With each footfall, the dilemma deepened inside her. Could she brave the heights of ambition without toppling into the depths of doubt? And as the evening sky darkened, leaving only a sliver of light, she knew the next day would determine not just her progress, but also her resolve to step further away from fear and into the brilliance of possibility. Would she have what it took to face the challenges that lay ahead? The next morning came too quickly, robbing Lily of sleep and leaving her suffocated by anxious thoughts. She woke up with her heart pounding like an engine revving, eager yet fearful of the day's unknowns. Mr. Thompson's offer lingered in her mind, a direct path into the heart of engineering, yet one that could shatter the fragile confidence she had barely begun to build. Determined to push through the haze of uncertainty, she prepared carefully, dressing in work boots and a tool belt that felt foreign yet empowering. It was as if each item she donned fortified her resolve, allowing her to step into the workshop not merely as a visitor, but as a participant, a creator in her own right. Upon arrival, the hum of the shop greeted her like an old friend. Mr. Thompson was already there, animatedly discussing plans with a group of engineers. As she approached, his gaze flicked to her, and he paused the conversation, turning his full attention to her. "Lily! Right on time!" His enthusiasm was infectious, but she couldn't help but feel a twinge of discomfort. What if they saw through the surface, if they glimpsed the shaken figure hiding under her facade? "Good morning," she replied, forcing her voice to steady despite the tremor beneath. "I'd like you to meet some amazing people." Mr. Thompson gestured towards a group of 3, each absorbed in their own creative universe of designs. "This is Anna, David, and Michelle. They've worked on some pretty cutting-edge projects." Each of them regarded her with interest, and she felt her heart pound louder. What would they think of her? A dependency on Mr. Thompson seemed evident, yet in this realm of established professionals, she couldn't shake the fear of appearing inadequate. "Let's hear your ideas for the project," Anna encouraged, her eyes bright with curiosity. Lily faltered, her confidence warring with her deep-seated insecurities. The project, a community vehicle aimed at sustainability, stirred within her a tempest of thoughts and emotions. This was not just a simple task. It was an opportunity to innovate, to make a mark. But was she ready? Glancing at Mr. Thompson, she found unwavering faith reflected in his eye. Gathering her courage, she took a deep breath. "I think we should incorporate modular designs for the battery systems, something that can easily upgrade over time. It would promote longevity, and communities could adapt as technology advances," she blurted out, her words rushing forth as passion broke the dam of her doubts. To her astonishment, the engineers exchanged looks of intrigue, nodding in unison. David leaned in. "That's a solid perspective, especially for sustainability." Lily felt her cheeks flush. Perhaps there was merit to her voice after all. Encouraged by their engagement, she elaborated further, sketching potential layouts on a nearby whiteboard. In those moments, the workshop faded, and she felt the invisible chains of doubt easing. As the discussion deepened, she learned more about each engineer's background. Their tales were filled with triumphs and failures, experiences that mirrored her tumultuous journey in some ways. They faced their own battles with self-doubt and ambition, breathing life into her resolve. However, the exhilaration was soon punctured by the reality of her situation. Each compliment from her peers felt like a temporary relief from the gnawing concern of acceptance. Was she really making a contribution, or were they simply amused by Mr. Thompson's eccentric protégé? After an exhilarating brainstorming session, the engineers were invited to a cafe nearby to solidify their plans over coffee. As they shuffled out with excited chatter, Mr. Thompson subtly placed a hand on her shoulder. "You've made a substantial impact today, Lily. Remember this feeling." But lurking behind his praise was a question, a nagging concern unspoken, but undeniably present. What if this momentum didn't sustain itself? What if tomorrow's challenges overwhelmed her again? As they walked to the cafe, she contemplated the potential risks ahead, the obstacles that might yet shatter her fragile confidence. Could she consistently rise to the occasion, or would her fears render her silent once again? With each step echoing in her mind, she understood that the path before her twisted and turned unpredictably. Today had begun as a beacon of hope, yet it was merely the first bend in a long and agonizing journey. a sharp realization hit her. Ambition always brings with it the weight of expectations. In that moment, she made a silent vow to confront every impediment that clouded her ambition. As they approached the cafe, she steeled herself against the rising storm of trepidation. She would find a way to break through once and for all. But perhaps the most critical question burned within her. Could she truly believe in herself, not just today, but every day moving forward? The cafe buzzed with the warmth of conversation, but Lily felt an unsettling chill creeping over her as they stepped inside. The aroma of rich coffee wafted through the air, mingling with her mixed emotions. Sitting at one of the corner tables, the team began discussing deadlines and logistics, their chatter transforming into a chorus of ideas and strategies. Yet, Lily remained on the periphery, acutely aware of the gap between her and their established expertise. She watched as Anna, David, and Michelle delved into details, their confidence echoing in the delicate clinks of coffee cups. Part of her wanted to engage, to dive deep into technical discussions, but a heavy weight anchored her to her seat. What if they realized she was an imposter? As discussions blossomed, Mr. Thompson's voice cut through the noise. Lily, your suggestions could really shape the direction of this project. How do you envision the collaboration evolving? In that moment, the spotlight landed squarely on her, and the weight of expectation threatened to suffocate her. She took a breath, a surge of determination rising within her. I think we could set up brainstorming workshops with community members, she found herself saying, the words breaking the seal of her fears. Listening to end users could inspire designs that resonate with their needs. The room momentarily hushed, their attention solidifying around her. Perhaps, Lily thought, this was her moment, a chance to contribute actively. She was beginning to embrace her voice. Anna's nod encouraged her, igniting a spark of inspiration. We could also create early prototypes and gather user feedback, letting iteration drive our design process. A glimmer of excitement transformed the atmosphere as Mr. Thompson's eyes lit up, reflecting pride and surprise. That's brilliant, Lily. User-driven design can pivot everything. The engineers rallied behind her suggestions, each response lifting her spirits higher. Yet even amidst this validation, shadows crept back into her thoughts. Were they truly engaged in her ideas? Or was it just the novelty of a fresh voice to spice up their discussions? The gnawing insecurity whispered, clawing at her conviction. After the meeting transitioned to lighter banter over pastries, ambition took a back seat to camaraderie. They were friendly, laughter mingling effortlessly, yet something intangible kept her at arm's length. As the conversation turned to personal stories, Lily noted how easily her colleagues switched from technical to personal without fear. Did she still belong here? Later, as they wrapped up, Anna invited her to join an informal design meetup next week, a chance to further develop their concepts. We're a team now, right? She said with a reassuring smile. Lily felt an exhilarating rush at the prospect, but a familiar, anxious voice cautioned her heart. She had yet to prove herself in the long run, beyond the enthusiasm of initial meetings. What if the camaraderie faded when faced with real challenges? Suddenly, the cafe door swung open, and in walked a figure she recognized, a former classmate from engineering school, Jake. Memories of their competitive dynamics flooded back. Would he remember the time she faltered in front of peers? Her pulse quickened as he approached their table, undoubtedly there to witness her growth, or potential downfall. Hey, I heard about the new project you're working on, he remarked, tension vibrating in the air. So, you're part of the big leagues now? His tone was half taunting, half curious. The friendly atmosphere spiraled slightly as she felt eyes turn toward her, leaving Lily grappling with a mix of aggression and insecurity. How could she respond? Would this encounter cement her status in the engineering world as a rightful player, or expose her as another inexperienced voice amid heavyweight professionals? Just as she crafted an answer, a sudden thought ignited her resolve. This was the moment to assert her identity, to step into her power, not just as Mr. Thompson's protege, but as a formidable engineer. Absolutely. We're redesigning for sustainability. You should see it. It's not just theoretical now. It's action, she replied, her voice firm, laced with newfound confidence. A silence briefly hung in the air before Jake smirked, a challenge igniting in his eyes. Well, we'll see. Best of luck. As he turned to leave, Lily felt a rush. This was a crucial step, putting herself on the line, not just for her colleagues, but for herself. She was learning to confront not one, but multiple challenges at once. The expectations of her peers, her own doubts, and the specter of past insecurities. Instinctively, she knew it would take more than today's victory to transform the fragile confidence she was building. With that thought, as they prepared to leave, she locked eyes with Mr. Thompson, who watched her intently. The unasked question hung heavily in the air. Could she navigate beyond the fleeting successes to forge a solid foundation? With each step she took away from the cafe, she realized it wasn't just the external doubts she had to battle. It was the storm of self-perception and doubt that loomed beneath the surface. What awaited her on the road ahead would demand more than conviction. It would require relentless self-discovery. Unfiltered determination coursed through her veins. She was ready to challenge not only Jake's skepticism, but also her limits. What unfolded next in her journey would be the defining moment of her transformation, an awakening of her true abilities, or another setback. But as they walked towards the vehicle, a deeper resolve settled in. She had begun to uncover a layer of herself she didn't know existed. This journey had only just begun. Would she rise to the challenge, or succumb once again? The following week began as a whirl of anticipation and doubt. Lily arrived at the informal design meetup, her heart racing at the prospect of facing her colleagues in a different light. This was her chance to reinforce her commitment, to participate in shaping ideas rather than merely absorbing them. As she entered the small conference room, the chatter of familiar voices set an easygoing tone. Yet, under the surface, a tempest of anxiety brewed. Would her suggestions hold weight? She could hear the echoes of Jake's dismissal playing in her mind like a taunting echo. Every confident laugh from Anna and Michelle felt like a reminder of her inexperience. She was an outsider still vying for a seat at the table. Mr. Thompson welcomed them, a sense of purpose in his demeanor. Today, I want to explore how we can refine our project, keeping user feedback central to our direction. I trust each of you to contribute. The atmosphere morphed into one of focused collaboration. As ideas bounced around the room, Lily found herself listening intently. Moments passed, and instinctively, she began taking notes, each line revealing her intent to engage actively. Yet the doubt lingered, swirling around every moment she hesitated to speak up. Finally, the silence filled with a palpable tension after several rounds of suggestions. It felt like a door had swung wide open, and all she had to do was step across the threshold. What if we created a user persona to guide our prototypes? The words rushed out before her fear could hold her back. The room turned towards her, a mix of surprise and intrigue written across their faces. She continued, emboldened by the silence. By analyzing user behaviors and preferences, we can create solutions tailored to their needs. This way, we not only address their concerns, but also align our objectives with real-world applications. Mr. Thompson's perceptive nod uplifted her faltering spirits, and slowly, the team started to build off her idea. They discussed potential user groups and scenarios, turning abstract concepts into tangible plans. Each time a colleague referred back to her suggestion, Lily felt the weight of self-doubt lift, if only temporarily. During the brainstorming session, Anna leaned in, excitement in her eyes. I think that's a fantastic approach, Lily. We should flesh that idea out even further. This validation breathed new life into her resolve. Yet she still felt the shadow of insecurity lurking. Was this newfound acceptance genuine, or a fleeting moment where everyone played nice? The session ended with a robust action plan. a tangible result of collaborative effort and a sprinkle of Lily's transformative contribution. As they wrapped up, Anna excitedly suggested they take the user persona approach to the next level, preparing to present their findings to Mr. Thompson next week. "Just think, Lily, this could be your first major project presentation," she said, the pride in her voice unmistakable. But with that praise came a wave of overwhelming pressure. A realization echoed within. With this visibility came the potential for failure. What if she stumbled while presenting? The fear of drawing attention for the wrong reasons instead of the desired praise loomed larger. As she walked to her car afterward, apprehension settled in her gut. Every step felt heavier as she grappled with the dichotomy of excitement and dread. The pressure of future expectations was mounting. She understood that perhaps there wouldn't be room for mistakes. By the time she reached home, Lily was filled with restless energy. Setting a mental plan, she opened her laptop, the light illuminating the pages of notes she'd taken, connecting the threads of their discussion. She was determined to prepare, to master every facet of her ideas, but as she delved deeper, her mind began to wander back to her evening with Jake, a confrontation etched with "isn't it funny" irony. Why did his words weigh so heavily now? Was it merely his past presence? Or was it something deeper? An unquenchable thirst for validation that pushed her to seek success? Frustration mounted as she marked her notes with determined lines, reflections swirling through her mind. How could she differentiate between the validation she sought from others and the intrinsic pride that should stem from within? Amidst her frantic scribbles, a new question emerged. What was she truly afraid of? Failure? Judgment? Or was it the idea of disappointing herself? Lily closed her laptop and took a deep breath. She needed to confront those insecurities head-on. Perhaps the first step in solidifying her place wasn't merely asserting herself, but understanding what drove her fears in the first place. It was time to delve deeper, to question her motivations in a way that was unflinching yet necessary. With a sense of determination enveloping her, she resolved to seek the answers that could arm her against the upcoming challenges. Tomorrow's presentation was a new battlefield, but it was also an opportunity for self-discovery. With anticipation igniting a fire within her, she knew she had to prepare. But would the preparation be enough to quell the storm of uncertainty brewing in her mind? Morning light filtered through the windows, casting a warm glow over Lily's workspace. Yet it did little to disperse the dark clouds of anxiety swirling in her mind. The dread of the presentation loomed, amplifying insecurities that seemed to echo louder with every glance at the clock. She knew she had to harness this energy instead of allowing it to consume her. As she sat at her desk, a stack of reference materials spread around her, Lily felt the weight of her commitment. This was not just a project for her team. This was a test of her ability to voice her thoughts, to claim her place within this dynamic. She began reviewing her notes with newfound intensity, searching for clarity in her ideas, a structure she could mold into something compelling. The image of her user persona took form in her mind as she meticulously sketched it out. Demographics, pain points, aspirations, all colorful threads woven into a cohesive narrative. Each drawing and annotation felt like a step toward reclaiming agency in her career. Empowerment surged through her as she considered how this persona could become a beacon for their design choices. Yet, in the quiet moments, the specter of doubt crept back in, whispering familiar fears. What if they saw right through her act? Was she merely masquerading as someone capable? She shoved the self-doubt away, reminding herself that growth often emerged through discomfort. Her validation had to come from within, but that was easier said than done. Determined not to shy away from this opportunity, she began crafting her introductory remarks. She envisioned standing before her colleagues, not as a mere participant, but as a crucial contributor to their shared vision. With her heart pounding, Lily practiced her presentation in front of the mirror, concentrating on projecting confidence through her voice and body language. Each time she stumbled or hesitated, she reminded herself that vulnerability was a strength, not a flaw. As the day progressed, She adjusted her focus, anchoring herself in the purpose of their collaborative effort. "This is about the users," she muttered to herself. "It isn't just about me." Framing the presentation as an opportunity to advocate on behalf of others helped alleviate some of her anxiety. By shifting her attention from her fears to the project's impact, she was able to reclaim some control. When lunch came, she joined Anna and Michelle at a nearby cafe. Their conversation was lighthearted, yet Lily found herself pulled back into thought by casual remarks about the upcoming presentation. "Honestly, I'm nervous," Anna admitted, taking a sip of her coffee. "You'll be great," Lily replied, surprised to find the words burst forth with conviction. Her own affirmation fed into her growth, creating ripples of shared encouragement. In those moments, she realized that navigating discomfort was part of the process for everyone, not just her. They were in this together, all pushing beyond their limits. Later that afternoon, deep in thought as she returned to her workspace, she caught sight of her reflection in a glass wall. What she saw surprised her. It wasn't just the nervous girl she had known all along. It was someone with determination etched in her expression. The realization that her growth was taking shape swelled within her. As evening descended, she finalized her notes, the once chaotic scribbles now transforming into a clear blueprint. Clarity washed over her, dispelling shadows of self-doubt. Tomorrow's presentation didn't just represent a chance for validation. It was a heartfelt declaration of her abilities and potential. That night, as she prepared for bed, thoughts fizzled with energy. What if, instead of worrying about mistakes, she embraced every moment as part of her journey? Lily closed her eyes, envisioning her future. In that quiet space, amidst her swirling aspirations and doubts, a sudden thought jolted her awake. What if this presentation represented more than a step up the ladder? What if it served as a turning point, not merely in her career but in her life? With that realization resonating like a heartbeat, she understood that next week's presentation would be the first of many opportunities, an opening into a path of personal discovery. But a new question lingered beneath the surface. Would she continue to push past her fears? Or would they hold her back when the moment of truth finally arrived? The following morning, the sun promised a fresh start, yet Lily felt the weight of anticipation settle in her stomach like a stone. Today was the day. Stepping into the office, she was acutely aware of the eyes that would be on her soon. The vast, bustling space felt like a stage rather than a workspace, amplifying her racing thoughts. Each step she took echoed with uncertainty as she made her way to the conference room. Her colleagues gathered around, their chatter filling the air with energy she both craved and feared. Each laugh resonated like a reminder of her apprehension. Yet, amid the bustling voices, something shifted within her. An undeniable itch for a breakthrough. Was today merely about performing, or could it catalyze a profound transformation? Sitting at her reference-laden table, she took a deep breath, her hand brushing against the meticulously arranged notes. They were more than words. They symbolized her hard-earned insights and the confidence she was still learning to embrace. Lily's gaze flitted across the faces of her teammates. She felt rooted in the goal of helping users, not as a passive observer, but as an active advocate. Time slipped away as the meeting hour approached. Heart pounding and palms sweating, she rehearsed her planned introduction one last time. There was a glimmer of potential within her. She could see herself expressing her thoughts clearly, her words resonating with purpose. As the clock struck the hour, Lily stood beside the projector, a sea of eager faces before her, waiting for her to speak. Thoughts swirled. Would she be heard? In that moment, she had a decision to make. She could retreat into her previous self, caving to paralyzing fear, or she could embrace this moment as her own. Channeling the energy consuming her, she stepped forward, adjusting her posture to convey openness. Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to explore the persona I've developed, one that reflects our users with personal insights that can drive our design process. Her voice was shaky, yet determined. With each familiar line, she began to clasp her hands, taking solace in the physicality of the gesture, reminding herself of the groundwork she had laid. Momentum built as she advanced through her slides. For every idea shared, confidence bloomed within her. Each positive nod from her colleagues was like a spark igniting her spirit further. She was not merely presenting data. She was sharing a vision, advocating for real people whose experiences mattered. The story began to flow. She was no longer just a voice, but the voice of the users she felt privileged to represent. Yet she could feel the remnants of self-doubt clawing at the edges of this newfound confidence, whispering unsettling questions. Would her narrative resonate? Would her colleagues laugh off her genuine intentions? Just as she began to falter, she recalled the warmth of her reflections last night. She had to trust the validity of her insights. As she concluded her presentation, applause erupted from the crowd. Her heart swelled with an unfamiliar exhilaration. For the first time, she understood something critical. Acknowledgement was not the sole marker of worth. It was becoming the professional she aspired to be, taking risks and navigating vulnerabilities that defined growth. Walking back to her desk, exhilaration and trepidation swirled together. Had she truly crossed a threshold into a new realm of potential, or was it merely a fleeting moment? In the quiet aftermath of the meeting, she gathered her thoughts like puzzle pieces. Several colleagues approached her, offering genuine compliments and eager questions. With each conversation, she felt clearer about her value. Yet, lurking under the elation was apprehensive excitement. What would come next? The undeniable reality gripped her. This was merely the beginning. As the sun dipped low in the sky, the office hummed with chatter. Tomorrow, she vowed to continue this momentum. What if the following days brought greater challenges, deeper discoveries awaiting her? With gritted teeth and curious hope, Lily glanced at the tasks ahead. Would she seize these opportunities, or would self-doubt whisper yet again to hold her back? The stage was set for her next act, and it beckoned with an unrelenting intensity. Lily entered the office the next day with guarded optimism, her heartbeat steadying but her thoughts still racing. The atmosphere buzzed with a mix of chatter and clattering keyboards, a refreshing reminder that life resumed amidst her personal breakthroughs. She took stock of the vibrant workspace, a commonplace transformed by her newfound perspective. This was her territory now. She wouldn't simply let it pass her by again. As she settled into her routine, the initial excitement from yesterday's presentation began to evolve into an urgent sense of responsibility. It wasn't just about being acknowledged anymore. It was about leveraging her insights into product development, actively shaping conversations, and forging connections with her colleagues. With a subtle shift in her mindset, she began regarding herself not as an underdog, but as a critical player in a dynamic ecosystem. She decided to take proactive steps. First, she organized a spontaneous brainstorming session with her team, citing her presentation as a starting point. "Let's expand on this persona strategy," she proposed, her voice carrying a new timbre of authority. "We need to dig deeper into user narratives." The response was encouraging, and together they dove into discussions that blended imaginative ideas and customer insights. As they dissected feedback from users, Lily found her footing more firmly with each proposed solution. Ideas flowed through her like a steady stream. She felt the weight of innovation pressing against her thoughts. "Let's visualize our users' pain points in a tangible way. We can build user journey maps that highlight our objectives more clearly," she suggested, her confidence tangible, and her colleagues were visibly engaged. But with this rising tide of self-assurance came a shadow of doubt, a lingering fear that she might have overstepped. Was she pushing too hard, too fast? The whispers of insecurity returned, taunting her with unsettling echoes of previous failures. Yet this time, she recognized them as mere distortions of her past. No longer would she succumb to hesitations. She made a conscious choice to confront her inner critic. During a rare moment of quiet, seated at her desk bustling with notes and sketches, she closed her eyes to breathe. This brief escape allowed clarity to wash over her. She realized she wanted not only to present ideas, but to create an environment where creativity thrived. With a sense of resolve, Lily outlined a plan for incorporating user feedback directly into their design process, inviting team members to contribute. It was time to share the spotlight. That evening, she received a message from her manager, inviting her to co-lead with him on the upcoming project, an opportunity she had once deemed impossible. Excitement mingled with dread. Could she genuinely share leadership? Questions flooded in. What if her focus on empowerment alienated others? What if her vision was out of sync with the team's goals? Instead of allowing herself to spiral into second-guessing, she chose to prepare. Her evening was spent drafting ideas, anticipating motivations of team members, refining ways to foster collaboration that would bring to life the very user stories she had shared. She envisioned gatherings where ideas simmered and bubbled over, igniting passion rather than stifling it. The following morning, a new day dawned, bringing with it the weight of expectation. Would her proactive step to ignite teamwork bear fruit? As she stood at the cusp of a new chapter, a critical revelation crystallized. This journey was never about the individual recognition. It was about uplifting the collective potential within her team. With her heart racing, she left her desk, clutching her laptop, ready to step into the conference room where minds would merge. Yet, a profound silence gripped her, pulling her focus inward. She questioned again. Would she rise to the occasion, or succumb to the fear of inadequacy? The stakes felt high, but within that tension lay the immense possibility of transformation for herself and her team. In that moment of introspection, the door swung open, revealing her colleagues gathered, their faces curious and expectant. The moment of truth was at hand, and with it, the answer to what she had chosen to believe about herself. Would she embrace this chance to showcase not just her growth, but the power of collaboration? The unfolding journey had unveiled itself, and Lily took a step forward, ready to grasp her destiny. But a lingering thought forced its way into her mind. What if her co-lead on this project had a different vision entirely? As Lily entered the conference room, she felt the collective energy of her team swirling around her like a current. It pulsed with possibilities, but beneath it lay an undercurrent of uncertainty. What if her attempt to foster collaboration met resistance? She locked eyes with her manager, who nodded encouragingly, a silent reminder that she was ready for this moment. "Thank you all for joining me," she began, her voice steady, but laced with an edge of urgency. "Today, we're not just kicking off this project. We're creating something together, a vision that reflects our users' realities." Each word felt like a thread, weaving confidence back into her core. The pieces fitting together are not just ideas, but a profound shift in how they viewed their work, one driven by shared responsibility and mutual growth. Lily noticed that as she presented, her teammates seemed intrigued. She shared her draft ideas, user journey maps, and strategies for gathering feedback. Enthusiasm bubbled beneath the surface, and she relished the moment, seeing her concepts resonating with her peers. Yet, a tiny voice of doubt whispered in the back of her mind. What if they shot down her vision outright? Taking a deep breath, she invited her manager to share his thoughts, hoping to blend their ideas. "I'm excited to co-lead this project, but I'm eager to hear how you envision our vision aligning." "Thank you, Lily," he replied, glancing around the table. "Your insights into user feedback could steer us in the right direction. I'm all in for creating a collaborative environment that draws on everyone's strengths." The approval from her manager sent a jolt of encouragement coursing through Lily. She felt seen and recognized, validated not just as a teammate, but as a valued contributor. Each nod and smile from her colleagues reinforced her belief, pushing her doubts aside momentarily. As the meeting progressed, her confidence flourished. Suggestions rolled out, combining different perspectives and honing in on the user experience. By the end of their session, they had crafted an actionable plan. A desire to share ownership had blossomed. Not only was she a contributor, but her vision of shared leadership thrived. Meeting adjourned, Lily felt a sense of victory swell within. The room buzzed with excitement, with her colleagues discussing next steps as they moved gracefully toward implementation. She couldn't help but think of how far she had come. This was not merely about delivering one presentation, but forging a community of innovators and creators. Over the next few weeks, the project unfolded with hope and promise. Lily became attuned to the collective drive within her team, a pulse that inspired and ignited her ambition. They embraced challenges together, celebrating every small victory along the way. She reveled in the chaos of creativity, each brainstorming session strengthening their connection, fostering an environment where everyone felt empowered to contribute. Yet, as a final stretch approached, the emerging pressure began creeping back. What if they hit a roadblock? What if doubt seeped in again? One late evening, while working late alongside Anna, Lily shared her fears. "I feel like this might slip away from us. What if our efforts crumble into dust?" The vulnerability in her voice was genuine, revealing the very insecurities she thought she had silenced. Anna paused, her gaze steady. "Lily, remember how far we've come. You initiated this. You created an open dialogue, inviting us to collaborate. We're here because of that, and no setback can erase what we've built together." Those words hung in the air, grounding her. It was a reminder that the path to success often wound through uncertainty, but did not have to be traveled alone. It was then that Lily recognized her own transformation, not just within herself, but within her environment. She shifted her perspective to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth instead of barriers. Yet, the ultimate test arose when a potential snag threatened the project's timeline. A critical tool they needed was delayed, causing an unexpected setback. Frustration and doubt flooded the team as they wrestled with the implications. In that moment, Lily felt the tension rise, yet she knew they could navigate through it together. "Let's pivot our focus for today and brainstorm alternative solutions," she proposed with calm enthusiasm. "This is our chance to think creatively and bring in fresh ideas." As they gathered around the whiteboard, brainstorming ideas ignited the spark of innovation in her colleagues. Together, they devised a parallel approach and adapted their strategy. In that collective experience, they forged stronger bonds, leaning on one another's strengths and insights. By the end, they emerged with not just hope, but an actionable pathway for success. Lily had harvested not only new skills, but also collective wisdom, transforming their solutions into a shared triumph. The project registered as a significant step across the organization, and she felt pride swell within her again. The energy flowing through the room felt electric, a vibrant community birthed from collaboration and perseverance. As they celebrated their success, she felt a renewed sense of purpose push through her, realizing the weight of expectation was now lifted. This journey was filled with moments of fear and doubt, yet they had evolved together to overcome obstacles, a testament to what could be achieved through teamwork and resilience. Reveling in the excitement, she stepped forward, words tumbling out. "This was a team win. Let's take these insights and showcase how far we've come together. Who's with me?" Cheers erupted, impacting the atmosphere with infectious enthusiasm. Lily recognized the moment as the culmination of her journey, an entry not just into a career, but into a realm of self-discovery, one where she not only belonged, but thrived. As they initiated plans for their showcase presentation, she felt her previous anxieties shift into anticipation. The fear that once anchored her slowly transformed into a resolute confidence. In that pivotal moment, she finally surrendered to the realization. The best way to honor her father, that master mechanic who inspired her journey, was to embrace herself fully. The leader, innovator, and engineer she had always been meant to be. With a heart brimming with gratitude and fulfillment, Lily knew she was ready to step boldly into her future. The culmination of her journey felt satisfying, a self-actualization that spoke volumes, not only about who she was becoming now, but also who she could envision being in the years ahead. This was just the beginning, a promise of more to come, and she embraced it with open arms. Now, as the story of her transformation reaches its close, I want to make something very clear. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support is crucial for spreading these transformative narratives. Be the voice that helps others find their way.